Hello and welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. I'm Liz and today you're going to meet a very special friend of mine. Her name is Cherelle. She is a member of our NZ Ahead private community. She's a midwife, she's English and she has been in New Zealand for 13 days. And the reason you are going to love this podcast is, as well as all those reasons, she did this move on her own. She's the first person that we've talked to that has given us the insight of what it's been like to make that massive move on your own. So you're going to absolutely love this chat. Like I say, Cherelle is a midwife. She used Accent Health to get herself a job and get over to New Zealand and get all the CV sorted. And she tells you all about that. But I just wanted to give a big shout out to Prudence at Accent Health because they are also part of our private NZ Ahead group, and they are just a wealth of knowledge and help to anyone in the healthcare industry who is looking to move to New Zealand because, they are your people to go to. Cherelle will tell you all about using that. Don't forget that you can find out about Prudence and her team by going to accenthealth.co.nz. And don't forget to mention NZ Ahead. Yeah, just to say hello from us. The other thing I just want to say before we jump in and meet Cherelle is if you still haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide that me and Brian have made all about life in New Zealand, then come on, what have you been doing? It's free. It's just, it's a great little resource. Free 5 days worth of videos. They're only short, but they give you a real insight to what life is like in New Zealand. When you get to day 5 of those free videos, you can find out all about the private membership group that we're always talking about. Be part of our wonderful group of like-minded adventurers that are making the move over to New Zealand to start a new life. You must have heard us talk about that lots before, but like I say, you can find out more about that by signing up for the free 5-day video guide. So go along to www.nzahead.com/free. That's www.nzahead.com/free. Take the free 5-day video guide, get to day 5, and you too can do what Cherelle has done and be part of this wonderful community. So without any further ado, let's jump in and meet the lovely Cherelle.
Got it.
Welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. Everything you need to know about moving to and living in New Zealand.
There's a whole world here.
So nice to be with you again.
We call it Aotearoa around here, bro.
You'll be right.
We are your hosts, Liz and Brian.
Amazing New Zealand in the southern seas.
See, that's where I belong. That's home.
Hello, Cherelle. I feel like I've met you before, Cherelle. Welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining us. I just want to jump straight in and hear all about your story. So, if you could just say who you are and how you came to be in New Zealand, then that would be great.
So hi everyone, my name's Cherelle. I am a midwife from the UK. I always wanted to see what it'd be like to be a midwife elsewhere. Yeah, that's it really. It's really hard to kind of talk about myself, but yeah, so I'm a midwife from the UK. Lovely to be here, but I've been in Auckland for about 13 days now. Yeah, enjoying every minute of it so far.
I just want to say thank you so much for joining me because I do know you've only been in New Zealand for 13 days. And when I asked you to do the podcast, because I know that you start work soon, and I wanted to get you before you started work because I know you'll be very busy then. And I thought, oh no, is she just going to be too shattered? So thanks so much for doing this. Do you feel a bit groggy or have you got over your jet lag?
Do you know, I don't. I think because unfortunately back in the UK I had quite poor sleep hygiene, so I think I've kind of adjusted quite well here. But I'm going out for walks more, spending more time in nature, out in the open air, and I think that's helping with my sleep. So I think apart from the first sort of couple of days, I've been okay so far. Touch wood. So yeah, I feel okay now, but not initially.
Oh, well, like I say, thank you. I absolutely love your accent. I can't get enough of it. I just, is that, were you born in London? Is that a London like accent?
Well, probably not. It's probably a bit of an amalgamation because I was born in North East London and I moved about 8 years old, 9 years old, to sort of Essex way. And then I went to Liverpool for a performing arts degree. So I kind of had a little bit of a Scouse twang every time I'd come back home. And then I've sort of now, I'll say more recently rather, migrated to Hertfordshire. So I think it's probably an amalgamation of everywhere that I've been in my lifetime. And I think I'm quite easy to pick up certain accents. So probably in a few months, I'll probably sound like a little bit of a Kiwi myself. So originally Northeast London is where I was born.
It's gorgeous accent. And you know what? They say that if you pick up other people's accents, that is it like you're an empathetic person or something? Like you're a very... Yeah,
probably. Yeah, probably. My sister does say that she thinks I'm an empath because I do have the ability to sort of pick up on a lot of emotions, and I think, okay, hold on, that's not me. That must be somebody else in the room. So possibly, yeah, I think you might be right there.
So going back to you studied performing arts, did you just say?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
How come you're a midwife? How did that happen?
So I've always wanted to be a midwife. It's my dream job, which is a bit of a cliche, I think, for some, but it really is my dream job. I've always thought about becoming a midwife later on in my life. I didn't know how old I would be when that would happen, but that was always something that I'd always aspired to. And so being 18 years old at school, thinking what are you going to do, for your career, midwifery was kind of off of my radar. And at the time, I enjoyed performing arts. I was quite a creative person, so I am still a creative person. So I liked drama, I liked art, and all of the expressive things, which is why sometimes I'm quite talk a lot with my hands and things because it's something that comes naturally to me. But yeah, so performing arts was my first real love. But midwifery, I suppose, is my home, I guess.
Yeah. Your dream job. Do you mind me asking how old you are? How old are you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? I love this game. I say I love this game. I love this for people. I'm 37.
37.
But very young at heart, and so 37.
I was I put you down from in your 20s. I was like, yeah. So
everybody does that.
Yeah, you've got a very young face, and yeah. So right, okay. So you've done performing arts, and you begin your career as a midwife, and you work for the NHS in England. So what made you decide to up and come to New Zealand? What was that?
I think there are so many factors, which I probably will forget a few of them because it's been a very long labour of love to get here, and I hadn't quite realised how long I had been talking about it. Because very recently, a friend of mine who's from Australia, she had moved back home to Australia about 11 years ago, and she emailed me to say, "You've been talking about it since before I left to go back to Australia." And I was thinking, "Gosh, has it been that long?" Clearly I'd just been kind of saying things and just working my way towards it slowly but surely. And I think maybe part of I thought maybe I wouldn't do it, which is probably why I'd been talking about it for so long. But I think I'd just been helping myself along the way without realising. And so now I find myself here, it seems really strange to say that because it's like, how can you not know you're coming? But I just thought, it's one of those things, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But actually, when I look back, all the things that I've been doing in my career, in my life, has actually been a stepping stone closer to where I am now.
Yeah. So, all right, lots of questions. Right. Okay. First of all, what family have you got back home in the UK? Did you?
So I've got immediate family is myself and my sister. She's older by 6 years, and then I've got mum, dad, aunties, and then I've got lots of extended families, second cousins, third cousins, lots of extended family. So immediate family is quite small, close knit, and I have nieces and nephews as well. So yeah, I consider my sort of close-knit family, they're the mainstays, and then I've got the extended family as well at home, so quite a large extended family.
Are you close to your family?
Yeah, so my sister and I, yes, we are now. When we were growing up, not so much. She was tasked with looking after me taking me to school, those sorts of things. But I was instructed never to walk with her. I had to walk ahead. I didn't want to. She didn't want me to ruin her street cred. But now we're, really, really close, which has made this quite a difficult move. But we still stay in contact. We're voice noting and making calls to each other, FaceTime calls and things. So yeah, but it's something that my family have always known, that I like to kind of try things out. And if it means that it's going to take me on the other side of the world, which it has, that's something that they could almost never stop me from doing, because it would kind of not be true to who I am. Because although it's a sad thing to leave family and leave those connections, it's about knowing that your family member is doing what they want to do, and not living their life through you in a way.
Yeah.
Which sounds possibly harsh to some people, but I always think about you coming to visit me, you come and see me. It's not about me going away and we're leaving and we're never going to speak to each other again. It's about new experiences. What can we experience together, even if it is on the other side of the world? So
I love that. I absolutely love that. And you're absolutely right. It's trying to remember that you're not losing something. You're actually widening the circle of adventure as much as such, isn't it? And I know, like you say, it's hard to leave family. And anyway, I'm going to get back to that in a minute, because the thing that intrigues me so much about you is your bravery because having done this move myself, I know how hard it was for me. And I had Brian and, my kids and everything. And then my mum came over. The thought of doing it on my own it blows me away. I've got so much admiration for you. I just think you're so brave. And so, yeah, I really want to delve into that. So what was it like were you happy with your job as a midwife? Were you in London, or were you around Hertfordshire, did you say, being a midwife?
So I lived in Hertfordshire, and more recently, in the last sort of probably 14-ish months, I was working in a hospital that I was born at, actually. But prior to that, I trained at another hospital in Essex. So yeah, I enjoyed being a midwife. I love being a midwife. I think that the only downside for me is that, as an unfortunate part of my journey as a midwife, and not for very many others, it just wasn't something that I could see for myself, being in the NHS for a long time, because of how things are changing. And it doesn't mean it's changing for the worse or for the better, but for me, it was just something that wasn't quite right. So yeah, I enjoyed my job as a midwife, but I think possibly the environment perhaps wasn't for me as a midwife, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Can I just say, I should have said this right at the beginning, but can I just say thank you? Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you so much. Do you know what was really, really lovely in COVID? It used to make me cry, actually. I used to watch it and start bawling my eyes out on the telly. was when in COVID, when they all stood up and started clapping for the NHS, and they would, every night I'd be bawling my eyes out.
It's something, it's something there are two sides of the coins, or of the coin. Some people are like, well, claps aren't doing anything, but I think that kind of community spirit was quite nice. And what I took out of that was the community spirit. Everybody was kind of coming together. And sometimes there were some times where I'd be at home if I wasn't working, and my neighbours knew that I worked. And there were sometimes I didn't want to go out because I just wanted to stay in. And I went out because I knew that they knew that I was working for the NHS, and I felt like I had to put up that front. But it was hard. It was a really tough time, especially in the height of COVID. Nobody really kind of knew right at the start what we were getting into, what would be happening for us. So I kind of kept myself to myself. I went to work, I came home, and I didn't see my family I chose not to see them for a long time, even after the lockdowns were lifted, because I just was exhausted. And it was a bit of a strange one, but I did find myself at times going out, and it was nice to be in the solidarity, but there were times where I just wanted to be in and not see anybody. But yeah, I did like the community spirit. That was really nice. Yeah,
I'd have been out there on the street going, cheer, come on, I'm on my way to work now. Give me a round of applause. Was there any time at all, and I know this, I know I mean, what you guys went through over there, and all healthcare workers have been through in the last few years, like
Absolutely.
I say, I've got utter respect for you. Was there any time that you looked over at New Zealand and thought, you know, they've locked down the country, they're handling it better? I don't want to go into like COVID politics or anything, but I'm just saying, was that did that play a factor in your journey as a midwife? Because you thought, you know, it will be easier to go over there, or did that not? How did you feel about that?
I kind of did look at sort of the way that different countries were sort of tackling COVID, and looking at New Zealand, it did appear to me from the other side of the world that things were a little bit more under control. But I'm not sure that I could say that it was the deciding factor, but it just felt that things were a bit more stable and a bit more, again, under control. But it's definitely an interesting sort of area to kind of for me to look back and think, was that part of my thing? But thinking back in, you know, my more recent memory, I don't think it was a deciding factor, but it definitely was something that stuck in my mind, possibly, without realizing, in my subconscious.
Because usually when I interview people and talk to them about why they came to New Zealand, they'll say things like, oh, because, you know, we've got kids and we don't like raising them in America, or, you know, we wanted an adventure, or we wanted, and I just wonder if there, what was there a particular moment where you thought, because I know you said you talked about it for almost a decade about coming to New Zealand. Was there, what was the deciding factor for you that you just thought, you know what, I'm making the next move and I'm going? Can you remember what that deciding factor was?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me was, would I be able to work? What would I do? So being a midwife, I knew for me, a midwife is a midwife is a midwife. You go to different places, different hospitals within the UK, they have possibly different guidelines, but you're still a midwife. So being in another country, for me, I was thinking, okay, yeah, sure, I could be a midwife. So that was point one, I guess, thinking, could I work? The second thing for me was finding somewhere that I hadn't really heard very much about from people that I knew directly. So the more obvious choices for people are things like Canada and Australia, and the more kind of common type places to go, and what you hear about from other people. And then the more I looked into New Zealand, I started thinking about, okay, so maybe this could be a potential place. And then I started looking at things like the weather. What's the weather like? If it's similar to the UK, would it be an easier sort of process for me to transition, you know, not just moving across the country, or across the world, moving jobs and then having to find a new way of life? Would the weather be a deciding factor? So I looked into that. And then also, I think at the root of everything is I'm a woman. I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. You know, culturally, would I be able to fit in? So actually, there are more than I actually thought about just talking about it now. But yeah, so those are the things. But I started with the job, started with, you know, where countries in the world where I think I might find it nice and might find my own way, rather than living out a memory of somebody else's and saying, well, this is what I did and this was my experience. So I wanted to have my own experience in that way. And that's why New Zealand kind of stood out. And then the weather and everything else came after that.
I think you're wonderful. I think you're absolutely wonderful. You. Yeah. I
Thank you.
It.
I think you two are as well. I'm literally I'm like starstruck, having you and Brian. Oh.
So you decide to come over. How did you get a job? Did you use a job person, what they called a recruiter?
Yes. So I was actually in talks with Accent Health. So I know that a lot of, say a lot, but a majority of the community in a SAT group have used Accent Health. And I was going through my emails just before I left the UK, and I'd found an email from about 2017. I'd been talking to them. So I'd started off actually finding out whether I could move over from 2017. And it just kind of was a flame that kind of died out, I suppose. And then it started to get a bit more real about, right, okay, let's do it. And so I used them, and they're really, I mean, cannot fault the service. It's just incredible. I worked with Kristen, and she was just really, really a kind of a very valuable source of information and knowledge for me. And so I used them, and they were helpful, and did what they said they were going to do. So yeah, they got me interviews very, very quickly. And initially it started off with like a Zoom call, finding out what things what I was doing, what my job was, and then just kind of honing into things like getting the CV sorted, getting it New Zealand ready, because it's very much it's almost like story based rather than it being bullet pointed. A CV, it's more tell us about yourself, tell us about the role that you did, expand, not just these are the skills I have, but how did you use those skills? And so getting the CV right was the first step, and then they just took it from there, and it just snowballed so fast, so quickly.
So did Accent Health help you with your CV? Is that what they did? Did they do that as well?
So what they did is they sent me a template CV, and just said, here's a template, put all your stuff in, send it back to us, and then we can have a look at it. If there's anything we need to sort of not add, but just kind of amend and perhaps help you in this area, then we'll do that. But luckily I didn't need it, because I like to talk a lot. I can say about 50 words when I can say 2. So it kind of just was sent back, and they said, yeah, it looks okay. And then probably within about 2 weeks, they were like, right, we've got you some interviews. I was like, oh, you've just got my CV. So it just went really quickly. So that was quite good. But the first, to be fair, going back a little bit, it was registration. So I had to register as a midwife first in New Zealand. So that was the first process. And then Accent Health was like, once you've got your registration, we'll just get things going. And it just took off.
I can't, they've just come on board with us onto our community, Accent Health, and I can't say enough about Prudence. I think I don't know, I haven't met the rest of the team, but she seems to me to be a absolute gem for any healthcare workers looking to come to New Zealand. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect and love for her. So what was it like when you got your interview to be a midwife in New Zealand? Was it how different was it to like your UK interviews that you'd had? What was that like?
Obviously virtual. It was virtual, and it was in the night. So here I am dressed up for a job interview in my my finest office outfit, at 9:00 at night, and it was on Zoom. So that was the first strange thing, because you're used to having some people, people being in the same space as you, asking you questions, and you're like, oh my gosh, you can see the nerves. So that was the first difference. But it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I don't know what I was quite expecting, but it just was like a conversation. It was just, so tell me about this, tell me about that. And that's what I did. And I guess the ease at which I'm able to sort of just converse with people and just speak to people, that just really just melted all of that tension away, and any fears or any doubts that I had about it going completely wrong. But yeah, I think it was about an hour. I had 2 interviews, and they were about an hour each, but it just didn't feel that long at all. It was just, but it was definitely strange. And I kind of made a joke. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed now. So it just, but it was, it was strange, but actually okay.
Yeah, it's a tough old time. That time difference is tough, isn't it? When you've got to do something serious like job interview,
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, it's a tough one. It really is. I remember when we used to have to stay, when we first came over, and we have to stay awake and talk to the bank about serious stuff about the money or the house or whatever. You'd be down, your eyes would be down like this. You're trying to remember, stay awake and sound like intelligent,
Yeah, I know exactly what you feel, how you feel, because that was a similar thing for me before I came, because as part of the assistance that I have with the hospital I'm working at, they have a relocation package, and they help you kind of find somewhere before you get there. So I was like you in the UK, staying up so that I could be emailing in real time to make sure that I could, get the first rental, or I could, make sure that I say yes to this or no to that. So it was that's probably where that poor sleep hygiene came into it, where where I was kind of up all night, up all day, all those sorts of things.
You've been through a lot of stress, a lot of that, and things that you tend to think, oh no, it's fine. That's what I'm saying about moving on your own, because every single decision that you made was down to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't. I just that's yeah. How did you decide whereabouts to live in New Zealand and what job to take?
So out of the two, so with my job, with the job that I've done as midwife in the UK, I've been in a variety of roles. So hospital based, in the core in different areas of sort of labour and birth, antenatal, and then postnatal. And then I worked in the community as a continuity of care midwife. So I had a caseload of women, and birthing people that I had pretty much saw all the way from conception right through to labour and birth, and then postnatally. Um, and so when I had the job interviews for New Zealand, the two that I had were for one of the main hospitals and a birthing centre, which is more kind of my speed, really, like a midwife led unit, kind of not very much intervention. Um, but I thought about where I'd want to be placed, moving to another country on my own, trying to make it work without falling at the first hurdle. And so I made the choice to go back into the hospital setting so that I could find my clinical feet. So that not only was I able to sort of move to the country, settle in, but also get used to this way of working. So what the clinical way of working is here, because I'm sure there are going to be lots of different clinical variations to what I'm used to in the UK. And so that's why I chose to kind of choose that hospital rather than the birthing centre, because it didn't make any sense to me to just, jump all in and then just go, well, see what happens, because I want to make sure that I do my job right and I do it well. And personally, I think doing that, or doing it that way, going into the hospital, just helps to set me up so that if I did want to go back into the community, it would be a little bit more easy for me to transition.
Yeah, it seems the more sensible thing to do, doesn't it? Is like you say, start there and then go out, rather than go out and think, oh gosh, I've got to get back in and learn again. Are you in Auckland? Whereabouts are you?
I am, yes, I am in Auckland. So I know I've been reading or just trying to slough off all the things about Auckland and etc. But it makes the most sense for me to make this work. So yeah, I'm in Auckland at the moment.
Yeah, beautiful city, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Let's just talk about that for a minute. So you'd never been to New Zealand before in your life? You're flipping
No, sight unseen.
Nutter.
I know, right? Listen, don't call me midwife. I'm a madwife. So there you go.
Thoughts about New Zealand? I know you've only been here for 13 days, but what's your impression?
I mean, the first thing is the people, to start off with. My first setting foot into the Auckland airport, it was amazing, and there were just it's very helpful people around, and I just thought, okay, this is great. And then secondly, the weather has been amazing. I mean, probably I left the UK on the 11th of March, and on the 8th it was snowing. So the weather was amazing and has been amazing. There's only been one day of rain. I think it's autumn now, isn't it, here?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So again, this weather has just been brilliant. I think as a I don't want to call myself a city chick or thing, but I'm more kind of in the sort of the city area. So it's kind of nice to have that kind of feel. It's nothing like Oxford Circus in London, but it's just a nice, slow and easy transition for me to kind of just get myself embedded into my life, really.
Yeah. Are you meeting people? Have you met anyone while you've been here?
Yeah, so the more I've been talking about it, the more I've found that there are people that in my life that have friends and that are doing things either here or have been here or have travelled certain places. So with Accent Health, what they're really good at doing is they kind of get you in contact with people that have either already moved here or are in their sort of transition phase of kind of getting here. So I've met up with another UK midwife who is working in the same hospital as me. So that's amazing. And we start on the same day, which is great. And then I also met a nurse who, just the strangest way that we met is my sister had a sort of a nice sort of meeting. We had like a meditation day. It was really lovely. And a woman who came, her friend moved here in November. and he's working at the same hospital I worked at. So I met up with him as well, and he was just really happy to see somebody else sort of from London, and knowing that I was going to be working in the same hospital. So that was really nice to meet up with him. So I've kind of been networking already, which has been quite nice.
There's lots of people in the Slack group as well that are in Auckland. I mean, I know a lot of them have got families and stuff, but it's like it's there's lots of people there that I'm sure would love to meet up with you. Dan and Sherry, I think she's a midwife, or she works in the hospital.
I think she was, if I can remember rightly, I hope I get this right, I think she was in labour and delivery, I think, in the US.
That's right,
and we'd had a couple of messages together, but I've kind of, in a way, I know there's so many people here from the Slack group, and I like you say about the family thing, I kind of feel like, I'm a bit weird, like, the single person asking, but I will reach out, because I'd love to meet up with them, just to be, seeing them in real life, rather than just talking on the virtual, so I sound like a bit of an old lady, on the web,
on the internet.
On the internet, yeah. But yeah, so I've just kind of been picking my moments, really, because I think I still can't believe I'm here. I know I've done the medical checks and all the things to get here, but I still can't believe it. It's a strange place to be in. I feel like I'm in this strange limbo. It's like I don't feel like I'm on holiday, but yet I don't feel like I'm living here, if that makes sense. I'm in this weird space. It's an odd one. I mean, I'm not unhappy. I'm happy, but it just feels odd not to be able to name where I'm at the moment, emotionally.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because do you know what? That is, you're spot on, absolutely spot on. And I know I keep going, oh yeah, and you're on your own, but I need to keep emphasizing this, because and I don't want to make this about me, but I'm just going to give you an example, is that when we came over, and I did have Brian, and I did have the kids, and they were at school, and I had lots of ways, but I remember just thinking exactly what you've just articulated. It was just like, I don't feel at home here yet. I'm not on holiday. I haven't got and I remember this woman giving me this really good advice. I might have shared it before, but she just said to me, get yourself into a routine throughout. And I know this will be easier for you when you start work, Cherelle, but she just said, like, Tuesdays is the day you go grocery shopping, and Thursdays might be a day that you go to the park, and Saturdays might be, and she said, and eventually, it was such good advice, and eventually she said, that's what you do. And she said, and everything will fall into place. But I'm so glad you said that, because it is so important. And people think you're going to come over here and be like, yay, I'm in New Zealand, I'm finally here and I'm so happy. And the reality is very, very different. It really is different. Yeah. And I thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I do like that that advice that you were given. And I remember years and years ago, my sister lent me a book by an American psychologist, Dr. Susan Jeffers, so late Susan Jeffers, and she wrote a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So I don't know if you've heard of that book or if anyone else has, but it's a book that actually is, it's so true. I mean, the fear that I've felt in pretty much every step of the way, from starting off the registration as a midwife, trying to sort of reach out and get jobs and CV sorted, that fear kind of, it drove me. It wasn't a scary kind of fear. It was a fear that kind of gave me that push to say, you know what, just do it. Like, what are you going to lose? I mean, my biggest hurdle is myself, and I've been a very, 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 very good. I've been very good at telling myself why I shouldn't do things, and giving myself a long list of reasons why it won't work out. I kind of overrode that, and I thought, I'm not going to listen to myself anymore. Like, why are you stopping yourself? So that I do attribute a lot of what I've done to that kind of feel the fear and do it anyway. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Where are you going to be? How bad can it be? So yeah,
and that's right, isn't it? Because that's what we always say within the Slack group as well. It's like you can all I know it's not ideal, and I know it's expensive, but you can always go back. You can always go home if that's what you want. But at least you've given it a try. And
exactly.
I think you're going to fly. I think you're going to absolutely fly. I really do. And like I say, yes, you are. New Zealand is gonna wrap their arms around you and just love you because you're just gorgeous. Yeah. I don't want to let you go. Okay, what else can I ask you? So what was I know you just said that very exactly what you just said, but would you say that was the hardest part about this whole thing? You know, when you take everything into consideration, what was the hardest part about what you've just done?
I think the hardest thing is actually saying to myself that it's happening. All this talk that you've been doing and everything that you've been saying to people that you're going to do, that was the hardest thing, is actually saying it's happening now. So I think with family and friends, when I talk about it, they're like, oh my gosh, you know, like it was a very sudden thing that I've been talking about, when in reality I've been talking about it for years. But I think the hardest thing was actually saying it's happening now. And so yeah, I think that was the hardest thing for me, is really making it a reality rather than it just being something that I talked about for years and years to come. So yeah, that was the hardest step, is actually doing it, putting one foot in front of the other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you tell someone you're going to do something and they're like, "Oh, you still haven't done it. So when are you going to do it then?" And it's
exactly, like, oh. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like, fine, I'll show you. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, obviously it was awful saying goodbye to your family. That is the worst. How did you get around that? What have you put in place to make that easier for yourself?
I just think just messaging. So we messaged quite a lot, which we did anyway in the UK, which is great. But having the time carved out each week, or however, whenever we can, to actually do the face-to-face call. So when I first got here, I landed at 6:15 in the morning, and I think I got to my accommodation at about probably 8ish or 9 o'clock. And I was like, right, come on, we're going to do a face call. And my auntie couldn't log on, and then my sister was kind of her technical support trying to log her in. But we did it. And I think just having those measures and making sure that we are always able to connect, just to make it more easy for us all round, really. So yeah, so those sorts of things, really, just knowing that we're always going to be there, whether it's a voice note, whether it's just a text message, or something like that. But video calls for sure. Very important.
And also they can save up and they can come and see you, and it's just you know, that's always nice, isn't it, when you've got that ahead in the future that you can say.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I had oh, sorry.
No.
I was going to say, on the 19th of March, it was Mother's Day. So that was, I sent my mum a card and a gift, and she got it a day early. And she's like, oh, I had to open it. I was like, it's fine, it doesn't matter. And I said, well, it's Sunday here for me, so you got it on the right day. It's fine. So I think that's special as well. Just kind of the special occasions. I think I'll make a big effort to kind of make sure that they know that I'm still thinking about them, as well. That'll help, I think.
Yeah. I knew what I was going to ask you. And you don't need to like divulge any financial information, but a lot of people say to me, and I actually don't know this because I didn't come and get a job in New Zealand, and when Brian did, that was back in the olden days, so we don't know about that. But people will say to me, oh yeah, I'd like to move to New Zealand, but the wages are so much lower, a cost of living so much higher, so why would I? What is it compared to the UK, working for the NHS, coming to New Zealand? How does that compare?
So I mean, it's not a huge amount extra that I'll be getting, and that's purely due to my experience. So it's linked to how many years experience you have. So as a graduate, you'd be on a certain level, and then you'd go up a sort of a step point. So in the NHS, we have something called the Agenda for Change, and you kind of go up a step every year. So annually you'd go up a step point, and then once you get to the top of that tier, you then move to a different salary bracket, and it's similar in the New Zealand, similar here. So because of my experience, I started at a slightly higher tier because I had some experience. So I'm a little bit more on what I was earning in the UK. But I think the cost of living possibly might cancel that out. But I'll figure it out. What's the worst that can happen? I move back home, if it's not going
Yes.
to work out. So,
Yeah.
so I think for that, I'm still, I guess, figuring it out. I kind of do the same that I'm doing the same that I would normally do in the UK. So looking around, seeing different prices in places, so food shops, so things like Countdown and other kind of the dairies, just looking at the different prices for things, and then I'm just figuring it out that way. So I think it's a watch this space for now. But yeah, salary wise, it's a little bit more than what I was on in the UK.
Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that. And so
it's okay.
I'd love to do a whole podcast with you about prices, and because everyone's always saying to me, how does it compare to England? And I'm like, I can't really remember. So when you're going around the supermarket, are you shocked, or does it just seem like normal prices to you?
I am shocked at a few things. I mean, I love cheese, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a small loan for cheese. But I think cheese is quite expensive. But I think it depends on a few things. I mean, are you willing to change the things that you buy, or just amend the things that you buy, or just go with it and see what happens? Because for me, I think I'm quite flexible, and I can always stand to kind of not eat that extra bit of cheese or whatever. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think I see myself as a bit of an optimistic realist. I think I'm like, yeah, yes, there's horrors in the world, but I'm going to be happy while we experience these horrors. So I don't know if I'm the right person to ask about that, really. But yeah, I think cheese is expensive for sure. Things like so like, I don't know, like tuna and milk. So I just think there are going to be differences, but again, I think that's part of the fun of learning about where I'm going to be living, isn't it, I suppose. Yeah.
And you will find as well, and I love that you're an optimist, because so am I. You will, even though I'm only but you will find that there are certain things that you think, oh bloody hell, that's a bit expensive. But then other things you think, oh, but that's so much cheaper than,
like dirt cheap. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it does even itself out. So yeah. So thanks for talking about that. And that was a little bit of a personal thing for me, because I hear that a lot. It's like, oh yeah, cost of living and low wages, and it's like, actually, Cherelle told me that that's not true.
No, don't listen. No. But I think it depends on your outlook, right? It depends on your outlook, because I could have said the same in the UK. Things are going up crazily high there. The energy crisis. I think it would be really remiss of us as a whole to go somewhere new and say it's going to be completely different. It's going to be, the best thing since sliced bread, because life just isn't like that. So again, I just think, well, we'll just see what happens. Maybe I'll go without, and then I'll treat myself to it every other month or something. So there are always ways around it. I think anyway.
When I come up to Auckland, darling, I'm going to buy you a big block of cheddar, okay?
I won't see you anymore. I'll just be like, geez.
Right. Before I let you go, I've got one more question. So if you can see into the future, and you can see the next 5 years, what do you want your life to look like living here in New Zealand as a midwife? What can you see for yourself?
So I would like to, oh gosh, I miss my car. I've been driving for many, many years, and not having a car at the moment it's okay, because I'm not that far from the hospital I'm working at, the CBD, all of those things. But I do miss having a car that I can just get in and just drive and adventure. So in 5 years, I think, making sure I've got my car, I can venture and see the greenery and see this beautiful country for what it is, and possibly moving a little bit further out of the central area, and still being a midwife, just being out in nature more, I think. Really, really basic things. I'm really quite no frills, if I'm honest. I just like to enjoy the moments that I have in this world, in this lifetime. So just being happy.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about being a midwife? What's the one thing that you love about being a midwife?
No two pregnancies, families are the same. There is always something new that I I find that, oh wow, this is different. Although the journey is generally the same. Everybody, you can become pregnant, you have a family, but you create this family, but there are different dynamics. And so I think the differences in every single family and every pregnancy and every person that I look after and every family that I look after, those are the things that are magical to me. I think that's why I love doing my job, because it's not the same, and so that variety is just quite helpful to keep my mission going. So yeah, I think that was the answer to your question.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and I think the reason I asked that is I remember, by having my two kids, and for the 9 months that is it 9 months you're pregnant, or 8 months? 9 months, isn't it? I should know that.
Yeah.
Feels like 9 years.
Okay.
But...
No, babies come whenever they want.
Yeah, but I remember just that feeling of a bond that I loved my midwife. She was called Caroline, and me and her you become so close to your midwife, and it's just that special relationship that you have with each other. And I just think I always used to look at her and think, what a lovely job. I mean, I know it must be really hard, and I get that and everything, but I suppose I saw the nice side of it, and oh, this person is just so needed and so loved. And like I say, maybe I'm being really naive, but that was my impression. I just thought, what a lovely job to just anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I'm happy for job. You, and I'm just happy that you're here, that you were brave enough to just come and be such a strong girl and just get on that bloody plane and do what you're doing. And we're here for you, Cherelle. Honestly, the group is here for you. Please reach out. And when I said earlier, oh yeah, they're all families, I didn't mean that, you couldn't approach them because they're family.
No, that was, to be honest, that was something that I'd already internalized. So it's not something that you've added to. Please don't worry about it at all. But it's definitely something I'm thinking, oh, okay. But I definitely will reach out, because I know that there is a big network here in Auckland. So and Nikki messaged me as well and saying, how are you? So I messaged her back, and so it's in the works. But I feel like I'm just sort of trying to pace myself. I don't want to peak too soon, so that I become a hermit and I don't want to go out anywhere. But I'm just kind of just taking it little by little, just taking things in. But I definitely would love to meet up with all the Auckland slackers and anyone else, and of course yourself with your cheese.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much, and please will you just catch up with us maybe I don't know, in a year or something. Let's do another podcast and just see where you are. I'm so excited for you, and like I say, proud of you for doing this. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for everything that you do, Cherelle. Thank you so much, darling.
And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure sort of being a part of yours and Brian's journey of podcasters and stuff, and I've followed I've taken a lot of your stuff in over the last few months, so thank you for sort of showing that it can work. It's good. It's okay. And creating that support in Slack definitely helped myself. So thank you to you too.
You're very welcome. Okay, darling. I will speak to you soon.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. We have loved having you here with us.
If you loved this week's show, please share this with your friends. Send it to anybody you know that wants to think about moving to New Zealand, and get on over here yourself.
And tell them how brilliant it is as well. And also, if you haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide showing you what life is really like in New Zealand, then go over to the website and sign up. You are missing out. This is brilliant. Go over to www.nzahead.com/free and we will send you 5 days worth of videos about what life is like in New Zealand. You are going to love it. So one more time, that website that you need to sign up for the free 5-day guide is www.nzahead.com/free. So we're going to see you next week. Until then, have a great week and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye again. Bye.
Bye.